You can see there that piece is cracked. I'm going to show you a cheap and easy way to make a, basically we'll call it a permanent fix. It holds up really strong based on my testing of other things fixed like this. This new light here for filming in dark areas seems to work really well. Comes with this remote so you can change the color to try to make the color balance correct when you're filming. Getting this piece out to where you can fix it, you've seen it in my other videos. We're going to remove this panel, which just pops off. We're going to remove this panel, which also just pops off, although it's easier to start from that side. And then there's, I believe there's 7mm bolts. There's 2 up there, and then there's, I think, 5 or 6 total behind. You see them there. There's the one there and one there. I think there's 4 more along there, and then this piece is separate from the top, even though it may not look like it, but it will come out as a whole unit. I'll probably have to lower the steering wheel, but it should be pretty straightforward. And I don't have to totally remove it. I can just kind of let it sag a little bit here, and that exposes those bolts. You see, you need a swivel to get to some of them. So with those bolts out, it's still snapped into place. So don't be afraid to give it a good tug. You see it's got the air ducts attached. It also has the headlight switch attached. And the stereo, if you have a stereo in there. I'm going to pop the headlight switch out, and then when you disconnect it, the lights turn on, so I'm going to basically swap this back in. That way our lights aren't on. Everything unbolted and unsnapped, this whole piece just slides out. Anytime you have that piece off, it's a good time to clean inside your air ducts, because you have kind of unprecedented access in there. And also never a bad idea to give that a good clean and buff, as well as cleaning up any other dirt, dust, or debris that you see. I always say that sort of stuff tends to make your car smell bad, so good chance to clean it up. With this piece off the car, I like to actually take a garden hose and really wash these out good. Mine are pretty clean. I may have done this before and just forgotten it, but anyway, I'll probably go ahead and give it a good hosing off. And I put just a dab of crazy glue on there to give it a little bit of hold. Now that's not the fix, but that's enough so I can go ahead and plastic weld it, because it was coming apart completely there and just held together by this rubber strip. Cut a little piece of that metal there, and that's gonna not be visible when it's back in the car, but that'll give it a lot of extra strength. This heat up for a long time, and I just want to try to press this into the plastic here so that that metal will melt the plastic and kind of merge together, just to give this a little bit of backing support. The next thing we want is the PP type of plastic, and we're going to melt that to build this up here. And since this is a small area, this is going to be a tougher fix to not screw up. As that cools, it will harden, but it will remain flexible so that you can move it without breaking it off of there. And then I'll leave it up to you if you want to try to do a cosmetic fix on the front. I am not going to, because what will happen is I'll melt that and I can get it back together, but I won't have this texture, so it'll be very obvious that I ran a plastic soldering iron over that and melted it, and it'll look funny. So I'm going to leave it there, but at least now it's attached so it doesn't flop around. This is also a great opportunity if you have any broken plastic pieces. I always start by cleaning the surfaces with alcohol or lacquer thinner or something that's going to degrease them. And I like to test fit their orientation. And then just a dab of super glue. The super glue isn't what fixes it. The super glue just sets it up so that you can fix it. It'll hold it in place for you. Crazy glue, super glue does not permanently bond this stuff, but it will hold it long enough for you to weld it. So like before, we got the mesh on there, and I'm going to try to melt that into place real quick. And then again, we'll get the PP style plastic. And this one is not a cosmetic fix, so you can make this pretty ugly and strong because it won't be seen once it's installed in the car. And I'm going to put another dab on the other side off camera. I'm going to show you this is holding. I don't want to completely pick that up because that is a pretty weak link and not really meant to hold the whole thing, which is a pretty heavy part, but you see it's on there again, holding well. So I'm really happy with this plastic. It's just the Harbor Freight Chicago electric plastic welder. It's basically a soldering iron and some plastic strips, and then with it all back together, you'd never know it was apart. So I opted to go ahead and jack around with the front, and that's what happens. So you can't get it to look right unless you have some sort of texture tool that you could smash down afterwards. But I did that because it was breaking off, and what I mean is it cracked apart again when I was bringing it back to the car, so I went ahead and redid it and went ahead and did the front too. So it's a lot sturdier, but it's uglier. Thankfully, that's the view from the driver's seat, so you just typically aren't going to see it. Anyway, that's how you fix that. I'm going to go back now and give it a good wipe down with 303, because when I washed it with the hose, I washed off all the protection and it's looking dull and nasty, even if the camera's not picking it up.